This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning. I'd like to give a welcome to all our students, parents, teachers, and the Brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. We are the men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Eta Nu chapter. Our four cardinal principles are manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. As for Black History Month, we're going to kind of combine some celebrations of famous Black STEM professionals. We're doing this to try to explain to our students and encourage them the advantages of a STEM program. So a few things you want to do. You want to talk about STEM, what it is, talk about a little bit about Black history. We want to have some fun and try to learn a few things today. Let's see. There will be 4 presenters today, myself, Brother Lee Willis, Brother Omari Gaskin, and Brother Ryan Davis. We're all professionals in STEM careers, and we're going to present you with our path, what we did to get there and what's going on with us. At the end of each 15-minute period for the presentations, we're going to stop the recording, and we'll have question and answers for 10 minutes. Recording will only be done for the presentations. At the end of the question and answer period, we'll select winners of gift cards, $25 gift cards for the audience. We'll need a parent to enter into the queue, the chat room, enter into the chat to Brother Gaskin, your name and mailing address. Our plan is to, we're going to have an event on March 6th that if you can come to, we'll personally give you your cards. And if you can't, we will then mail the gift cards to the winners. I think that's about it for the welcome. Let me put up one other slide. This is the slide to show that we're going to have on March 6th. It's a talent hunt and recognition program where we have some students who are performing for prizes, and we have we're going to recognize our scholarship winners. And certainly, if anyone from today's presentation, if you're able to attend, we'll recognize you. And certainly, if you're one of the winners, we can present your card there in person. It should be a very nice event. It's being held at Capital University. The Conservatory Meets Auditorium, 2199 East Main Street, in Bexley, Ohio. It starts from 3 p.m., goes to 5 p.m.
Brother Riggins, it's still on the welcome slide.
Pardon me?
It's still on the welcome slide.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was that again, brother?
Oh, were you showing the talent hunts? That's the talent hunt slide or something?
Oh, that was, did you see the slide for the talent hunt?
No, sir. I think you have to present.
Oh, I didn't share it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's right now. It's just showing the welcome slide.
Okay, I'll put it up one more time. Can you view it there now?
Is anyone else able to see, or is that just me?
You have to go to presentation mode, bro, Riggins, if you want to just click on the slide.
Oh, I see.
And slideshow, like how I did before. Here we go.
There you go.
All right, got it. Okay, yeah, that's the information. I'll put it up again at the end of the program. Trying to find the share for this guy here.
Yeah, go to slideshow at the top.
I got this black bar in the way at the top up there. That's what's
Oh yeah, is it for the Zoom?
yeah, for this. Oh, I got it right there.
Yep. Got it.
All right, you see it now?
Yep.
All right.
No, Doogie.
All right. Good morning. My name is Gregory Riggins, Bachelor of Science, Engineering, Carnegie Mellon University. I'm a retired engineer manager now. I've had a few different careers in engineering, program manager, technical program manager, electrical engineer, production electrical engineer, and junior engineer. I'll talk to those real shortly a little later. What is STEM? STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM opens the doors for many different careers: engineering, science, research, diverse fields like being an astronaut or biochemical. STEM students need to apply their technical knowledge in law and politics and education. So basically, a STEM program, STEM education, gives you the basis for doing just about anything you want to do in life, and whatever career that interests you. That's what makes it so interesting, because it gives you so many opportunities to do what you like to do. There are a lot of different STEM careers. I'll just list a few of them here because in lieu of time. Biomedical, these are engineers that work in the healthcare industry. Computer science administrators maintain computer networks. Web developers, with all the websites and things that you see, those are the professions that create those websites. We have geoscientists, where they look at alternate energy and environmental protection solutions. Medical scientists research diseases and new treatments and cures. Engineers, many types of engineers, putting ideas together to create solutions. That's really the kind of the bottom of engineering, putting ideas together to create solutions. And you do it in whatever engineering field that you like, that you're interested in. We have software developers, mathematicians. This is kind of funny here. I noticed that Ebony magazine this month, for Black History Month, they have on their cover of their Black History, they have Beauty and Brains. Meet our 2022 National Black College University STEM Queens. So certainly STEM is for both male and females. That's all I'm trying to show you guys here. We'll quickly go through, there are just tons of Black innovators that have done so much to help mankind and help the world. There are just too many to go through, but in honor of Black History Month, I will try to address just a few of them. There have been Black STEM professionals in microbiology, marine science, physics, astronauts, engineers, botanists, mathematics, computer scientists, chemicals, neurosurgeons, software entrepreneurs. One of the first I'll talk about here is Dr. Ernest Everett Jess. He's happened to be the founder of our fraternity here, one of the 4 founders of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. He's worked primarily in physiological cell structures and organisms. The next one I'll highlight here is Janina Figueroa. She's a marine biologist expert. She's interested, she does her fields in all sorts of underwater animals, marine animals, and she's famous for consulting in the movie industry, Jaws, so she keeps it real for him. We have Jesse Russell, he's an engineer. He's very interesting because what he did, his work in 1980s, he pioneered the cell phones that we use today. There was a Black engineer that was a big part of getting that developed. And finally, on this slide here, Jessica Allen Watson. She was announced, she's down here at the bottom here. It was announced this year, I believe, that she's going to be the first Black woman to do a complete International Space Station long-term mission starting April of this year. Here's another interesting Black innovator and leader in STEM, Lanyon Smoot. He's he's an Imagine engineer at the Disney Research Center. He holds over 100 US patents, one of the most prolific Black inventors in American history. But what's interesting about his projects include many special effects for things like the Haunted Mansion that's in Disney World, lightsabers that are used in Star Wars and the movies and things. He's one of the inventors of having all that come together. Another one I want to talk about here is Dr. Mae Jemison. She's an engineer, physician, and an astronaut, NASA astronaut. She became the first Black woman to travel into space, and she served as a mission specialist aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour. The next one is Mr. Thomas, surgical. He's a very interesting guy here. He's a surgical technician, laboratory supervisor. He really had no formal medical training, but he developed techniques and tools that would lead to today's modern heart transplants. Next one I'll talk about is Dr. Beth. She's a chemist, optometrician, inventor. She is the inventor of the eye laser surgery, cataract surgery. Let's see, we'll do just one more, couple more here. Let's see. Let's pick up, let's try Dr. Warren Washington, internationally renowned astronomical scientist and climate research. It's hard for me to get that word out. He specialized in computer modeling of the Earth's surfaces, served as a science advisor to former President Carter, Reagan, Bush, and Clinton. In 2010, he was awarded the National Medal of Science from President Obama. And the last one I'll talk about here is Kaylin Johnson. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie Hidden Figures. She's the lady that it was really based on. She worked as a NASA human computer. That was back before computers really existed. So she did all the calculations by hand. She was instrumental in calculating the trajectories that took the 1961 flight Apollo astronauts to the moon and returned them back to the Earth safely. She played a key role in the United States winning the space race. In 2015, she was awarded the President Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. What is engineering? Engineering is the use of science and math to design or make things. It can be a lot of fun. Sometimes it's like playing with toys. Imagine getting paid to play with toys and make things work. The key to engineering is problem solving. It's just a problem solving. Here are some examples of some things that engineers are all responsible for. Your video games that you play with, the roller coasters that you ride on, space rockets. There are four main branches in the engineering field: chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. Chemical engineering, they're mostly responsible for like petroleum refinery, food fermentation, those types of plants and things. Civil engineers, they're really interesting. They build everything that we see. Airports, they design and build them and manage them, and water supply treatment, bridges, buildings. We have a little shot here from downtown Columbus with all the buildings. Well, there were civil engineers behind every one of them. Electrical engineers. Electrical engineers are mostly work with computers, electrical circuits, and electrical circuits are in everything we have today, and certainly some sort of processor computer is in them too, and electrical power generation. And finally, mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineers are predominantly responsible for anything mechanical. They design like aircraft engines, robots, the powertrains for automobiles, just about anything that moves, machinery that moves, there's a mechanical engineer behind that. finally, I'll just discuss a little bit of my journey in the engineering field. What engineering allowed me to do was to have a great career in working. One of the things was in college, I'll start off there. Engineering studies gave me some opportunities to do some really cool summer jobs. Here's one of them here where I worked for General Electric, diesel electrical locomotives, got to work on some of the circuits in that and design those. And what was really cool was after they made one, they take it out on the test track, I got to ride in a locomotive. My first year out of college, I was an engineer at a tire production company, Firestone Tire Company. I worked on the electronics, the circuits that control the manufacturing machines that make the tires. Then I wanted to try production engineering. So I went to Massachusetts and worked in a plant there where they made the film for Polaroid cameras. And while I'm really trying to show you what you guys here is that engineering provides the basis where you can do just about anything that you want to do. It's what you like to do. There's so many different branches and things that you can do. That's why it's a good field to go into. And finally, the biggest thing that I did as an engineer, spent most of my time was designing torpedoes for the United States Navy. A lot of computers, worked in these areas and where computer systems are. Designed both the Mark 48 heavyweight torpedo that's fired from a submarine and the Mark 50, which is a lightweight torpedo that can be fired from helicopters. And I ended my career just creating different sources of manufacture for military hardware that we were having a hard time finding. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I just want to tell you that there's so many things for engineering, but this data is a little old. This is 2015. But what I really want to point out to you guys is, let's take a look down here. Black women, they're only 2% in the STEM industry. Black men, there were 3% in the STEM fields. Ladies, we can do better than that. We need to have more Black representation in these fields. Okay. That concludes my presentation. If you'd like to stop, we can stop the recording now, please.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Brother Lee Willis, he's a senior project engineer and system safety engineer for the National Astronaut and Safe Space Mission, NASA. He works for Johnson Space Center. He's designed space suits and hardware designer. So let's give Brother Willis a welcome, and he'll talk about his path in the STEM careers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Willis. I'm going to just take a moment and share my screen, and then we'll get started. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Not yet, Brother Willis.
It's not sharing?
No, sir. If you sometimes if you have a double screen, it might send to the other one. But let's see. Leave co-host.
Okay. Thought I was sharing the right one. Sharing screen 2. And I'm going to start the show. Okay. Should be able to see it now. I'm going to go ahead and start the show.
Oh, you're showing your
okay.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
All right. So I'm Lee Willis. I'm a graduate of Kansas State University, mechanical engineering. I currently work at Johnson Space Center, as Brother Riggins pointed out. Been at Johnson for about 36 years now, so it's been a long time. I started off as a design engineer, designing flight hardware for space. Then I went into spacesuits and life support system design and project management, project engineering, and I'm currently a system safety engineer for all flight operations. Today, I want to talk about the wardrobe for space. And of course, You know, you've seen spacesuits and spacewalks if you've watched TV over the years. We actually have a couple of spacesuits that are used. The orange suit that you see in my picture here is called a launch and landing suit. It's primarily used for takeoff when the astronaut is going up into space and when the astronaut is returning home. The white suit to the left is what we call a extravehicular mobility unit or a spacesuit, and it's used for spacewalks. And when I say spacewalks, this is when you go outside of the vehicle or you exit the vehicle, in some cases a shuttle or a space station or some type of vehicle that you're going up in, and you actually walk out into the atmosphere of space. Now, the atmosphere of space can be pretty treacherous. It can be extremely hot and extremely cold. And when I mean extremely hot, I'm talking in upwards of 250, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, or as cold as 250 or minus 250, minus 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you can imagine, a person would definitely have to be protected from that type of environment. And this suit does the trick. In addition to being extremely hot and extremely cold, a spacesuit is designed to be its own vehicle. So when you're in that suit, you got to provide breathing capability. And that's where oxygen is needed. You have to provide, of course, heating and cooling capability. If you get too hot, you got to cool them off. If you get too cold, of course, you got to warm them up. And you have to have an ability to communicate. In addition, there's a lot of space debris flying around. And if one piece of that space debris would hit you, it could kill you. It's almost like a bullet being propelled through space. So we want to make sure the astronaut is protected from what we call micrometeor materials. And that's those little pellets that are flying around in space. All right, so what I have here is the three components of the spacesuit. I'm going to use my cursor if you can see that. The three primary components are the helmet, which is this part right here at the top, the hard upper torso, which is this piece from the chest to the waist, and then the lower torso assembly, which is from the waistline down to the boot. And as you can see, there are a lot of attachment points to these three areas. The helmet has lights and cameras and things like that attached to it. The hard upper torso has a very important piece called a primary life support system, or PLIS. And then we put arm attachments to size the suit up for a really short person or kind of a tall or long arm person. The lower torso assembly, excuse me, has a couple of leg elements and the boots. And this is to help size the suit for the height of the person. And of course, the boot is attached to that leg piece. I talked about the life support system and this thing being called the extravehicular mobility unit. And the reason we call it extravehicular is because it resides out. You use this suit when you reside out, when you're doing operations outside of a vehicle. Extravehicular means just that, means outside the vehicle. Mobility unit is just the suit itself giving an astronaut an opportunity to move around within this environment. So we put all those crazy words together and came up with extravehicular mobility unit, or EMU. And in NASA and in most engineering industries, you hear a lot of acronyms, and acronyms are nothing but the initials of the words that are being used. In this case, this EMU is a short version for saying extravehicular mobility unit. So a lot of people just use the term spacesuit, but these are the proper terms. And so if you get nothing else out of today's presentation, you at least know that an EMU is an extravehicular mobility unit. The life support system, which I'm going to show you, let me see if I can get my cursor to go over there, is this backpack. is called a PLIS, or a Portable Life Support System. And let's see, if my cursor is moving slowly. Within the life support system, you have primary and secondary oxygen tanks, you have water tanks, you have a battery, sublimator, which is a small refrigerator that the water kind of rides over to cool off the water that's being circulated around the suit. You have fans, pumps, all kinds of devices are contained within this backpack to provide life support to an astronaut. Okay, now these loops that I spoke of, oxygen loop, feed water loop, liquid loop, condensation loops, they're all represented in this kind of an eye chart. It's kind of difficult to understand, but basically it shows the plumbing of a portable life support system. I won't go into the details of this because it can be pretty cumbersome. But as you can see, it's a pretty complex operation to develop life support. Did I hear someone come in? Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep going. Now, this device is attached to the portable life support system, and it allows the astronaut to maneuver if he's ever drifted away from the vehicle, away from the space station, or in some cases, this was used during the shuttle days. He would be able to manipulate or maneuver himself back to the station. It's basically a jetpack that is attached to the back of the PLIS and has controllers right here that allows the astronaut to shoot air and pressurized air and push himself close to the vehicle or in the direction that he wants to go. Underneath the spacesuit, first thing you're gonna don is this device here. It's called a liquid ventilating and cooling garment, or liquid cooling and ventilating garment, LCVG. It's basically a fancy pair of long johns with a bunch of tubes residing all over it, about a mile of tubing all over the suit, containing about 2 pounds of water. And that water is circulated around the suit to give you cooling when needed, and just provide ventilation of sweat from your body. There are other components in the suit: the drink bag right here to the left, the Snoopy cap or communication cap is called a CCA, and then a helmet liner with a pad in here in case the astronaut gets a little restless. He wants to rest his head on the back of the helmet. We have this pad on the inside, and then this little device in the top right corner. I'm going to try to circle it with my cursor, but this is called a Valsalva device. Sometimes an astronaut wants to scratch his nose, and because it's 200 degrees or minus 200 degrees outside of the suit, he can't take off a glove or take off a helmet and scratch his nose. He'll have to press his nose up against this Valsalva device and scratch his nose. Or if his ears get a little stuffy, he can actually press his nose against this device and clear his ears. It's pretty archaic, but it works. These are some of the tools that are used by the astronaut, mostly to restrain him to the vehicle, to keep him from floating away. You got tethering devices. This is our 85-foot safety tether. It allows the crewman to work up to 85 feet away from the actual attach point. And here a pistol drill. This was an offshoot of a regular home use drill that we modified for space. And these are other tether and restraint units, all stored in this crew lock bag. This is basically a big tool bag. Okay, so what I've explained is what we currently use in space. It's primarily used for what is known as lower Earth orbit. And it's basically just outside of the Earth's atmosphere. But in order for us to go to the moon and have great mobility and go to deeper space, we had to develop better technology. So we created a new suit. And this new suit is called the Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit. That's basically XEMU. So the old suit is the EMU. The new suit is going to be the XEMU. The old suit, here's a comparisons of those two, and I'll show you a short video soon, but on how this suit was developed. But basically, the EMU allows us to pressurize or operate at a pressure of 4.3 psi. And that psi is pounds per square inch. The XEMU will allow us to operate at higher pressures up to 8.2 psi, which means that we can go deeper into space where the pressures are higher and still be able to function well. So when you see these two suits, the one on the right, the XEMU, has better capability for that. As you can see here, the operating conditions or the design for the current suit on my left here, the EMU, is lower Earth orbit. We call it LEO or microgravity. In order for us to get to the moon surface and beyond, this suit is created to the right, the XEMU. It has a lot of improved functions that we'll be talking about real soon. Now the suit on the left, excuse me, y'all. Excuse me, yeah, please. The suit on the left is donned or put on. We have a term called donning, means to put on, and doffing means to take off. Well, so to don the EMU, you actually move from the waist opening up through the suit, and then stretch your arms down and attach both your lower torso and your upper torso together. On the XEMU, the suit is already assembled and you don it from the backpack. So it's like jumping into a fully assembled suit and donning. The CO2 removal capability on the XEMU is limited, using a Medox cartridge containing lithium hydroxide. And the CO2 consumable on the XEMU is unlimited because it has a rotating cartridge that allows the scrubbing material to rotate out to the atmosphere, clean itself, and then rotate back in the suit for more CO2 removal. Excuse me. There's a very labor-intensive maintenance on the current suit that we use, and the suit to the right, or the XEMU, is modular and very easy to change out parts. So it's a big improvement from there. The XEMU arm improvement, the mobility, we moved these rings that are right at the shoulder area inward a little bit to allow more mobility or circular mobility and flexibility in arm movement. So you notice the helmet on the left, or the current suit, is kind of round. The helmet on the new suit is oval shaped. There's some more interesting improvements that I'll get into a little bit later. Here's a picture of how that backpack is designed. In the XEMU, all the life support is contained in this backpack, but the suit is fully assembled and you actually enter the suit from this area right here and then close the back door. So it's really a cool design. All right, so I got a short video that I want to show you showing some of the improvements of the suit. If you could just take a few minutes, sit back and watch my friends.
wearing it. Apollo astronauts learned they had to hop to get around on the moon. The suit design sometimes made it difficult for the astronauts to work.
Okay. We see that one went all the way in. Not quite. Like that.
Engineers learned valuable lessons from those Apollo suits. The improved design for the next generation spacesuit will allow astronauts to walk on the moon, not hop. Additionally, astronauts will experience an improved range of motion.
The new suits, the planetary walking suits we're working in now, we really hope to provide improved mobility and comfort along with reduced injury potential. And really, like I said, provide the best tool to the crew member that we can provide. Then we want to be able to provide them the ability to kneel down and pick up a rock, like they're going to want to do in their geology science that they're working on. We want this to be a very reliable and durable suit so they can use it day after day in a dusty environment and not have to do a lot of maintenance with it while they're needing to do their mission. So there's a lot of those kinds of aspects that go into improving the suit that we're going to provide for the lunar missions.
Improved mobility is not the only feature engineers have been working on. The astronauts will also be carrying a special backpack known as the PLIS.
So the PLIS is the Portable Life Support System. It's the backpack on the spacesuit, and it has all of the interesting parts to keep the crew member alive while they're on their spacewalk. So it has oxygen stored as pressurized gas for breathing, pressure regulators that regulate the oxygen pressure inside the spacesuit, and then a ventilation loop and a water loop that we call the thermal loop that provide trace contaminant and carbon dioxide removal from the breathing environment, and also cooling for the crew member and the suit onboard avionics and electronic systems.
While the PLIS has been on previous spacesuits, this improved version will offer new technology, greater control of its systems for the astronaut, and longer life for each EVA, allowing more exploration.
The PLIS labs are awesome, super fun places, and we physically assemble the parts to build the life support system, and then we test it. It's our opportunity to find things and fix things before we get it on orbit. We love what we do. We really want to see the system fly and be useful and help a person explore the moon in a more capable manner than they were able to do during Apollo. So it's a great job.
So I want you to perform some isolated joint movement to understand how the suit moves in and out.
Testing for the new spacesuit continues underwater in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab. Here, the weightless environment of space can be simulated to put the suit through its paces.
So being able to test the suit in the pool and microgravity environments allows us to iterate on our design and make it better and get feedback from astronauts and from other instructors and trainers.
Could you reach all the way across and do the cross switches with your opposite arm?
Oh yeah, it's really easy to get all the switches with my opposite arm. I would rate this as excellent.
Oh, come on. I know, I guess it's going to get lower and flatter.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh my
You
God.
did it. Very good.
So if this could happen in real life, this is a spectacular translation. Rex and I are very lucky. It is like a brand new spacecraft.
Even has the new smell and everything.
It does. It's car smell.
Spacesuits are also tested in the Active Response Gravity Offload System, or ARGOS.
Yeah, so the Argos electronically is able to tune an astronaut exactly to whatever gravity it is that we're practicing that day, whether that's microgravity, lunar gravity, or Martian gravity. The other nice thing about Argos is you're able to get the instructors and the engineers right next to the astronauts as they're working, helping the astronaut figure out a problem as they work through the development of that test for the suit or for a piece of hardware and get that real-time feedback.
Spacesuit hardware is not the only thing being tested on Earth. NASA is looking at human performance as an important factor in designing EVAs and spacesuits.
So related to a spacesuit, a lot of times people think about the actual engineering, the hardware, the different pieces, but I want to look at the EVA scenario from the human really inside the suit, make sure that their performance, both physically, cognitively, is going well. So we want to look at things like physical exertion, cognitive workload, injury risk, and really just trying to make sure that they're not impaired by the EVA system any more than they have to be.
The NASA team uses virtual reality technology, motion capture, and other tools to study what it takes for a human to conduct an EVA.
And what we're able to do is bring actual, no kidding data to the table that really removes the opinions. That's probably our primary benefit for how we kind of enhance the EVA community is we take a look at this, not from a hardware, not from an operations standpoint first. We look first at the human and then kind of say, what do they need to be able to do to be ready for the job?
All the work on the spacesuit here on Earth is building up to the ultimate test, to fly it in space.
So we're actually building a flight unit of that XEMU, and we're going to launch it to the International Space Station. And we will do an EVA with a current spacesuit, an EMU that we use today, and the XEMU with it. We'll go out in pairs and we'll have the astronauts working together, one in the old suit and one in the new suit, and we'll test its functionality in a microgravity or a low gravity environment out in the vacuum of space. That will help us test a lot of its systems.
The EVA on the space station will set the stage for the future, when the suit will need to perform a variety of missions beyond low Earth orbit.
Yeah, so a great example is NASA's Gateway. So even though it is in lunar orbit, it's still a microgravity platform, so astronauts would still be floating in space. And so we can use a lot of the lessons we learned from the International Space Station to do spacewalks on the Gateway. It's actually really advantageous to use one spacesuit, both at Gateway and on the lunar surface. So the exploration spacesuit can do both those things.
For EVAs on the moon, the new spacesuit will give astronauts unprecedented abilities as they explore the lunar surface.
Really, this is the first time we're trying to bring a that's optimized for human performance and optimized for lunar exploration so that you can actually bend down, interact with the ground, so that you're going to have the visibility that you need, the mobility that you need to accomplish these tasks.
This new suit will allow us the flexibility to really do exploration. Get down on the surface and send geologists to the surface and really let them act like geologists in a spacesuit. This is the first time in history that a suit like that will have been created, and it's really exciting to be part of that. To do what NASA was meant to do, and that is to do exploration. And this suit will really help enable the agency go do exploration.
Well, everyone in my generation wasn't alive the first time we went to the moon, and we want to do it again, and we want to do it better. We want to go do more science. We want to stay longer. We want to get more out of it, and we have the technology to do it now. So we're really excited about it.
With its new technology, new design, greater mobility, and greater versatility in how it can be used, NASA's new spacewalking suit is truly tailored for the next generation of space explorers.
Okay. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. Well, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the suits, just connect with us at www.nasa.gov/Orion or any of these websites here. Of course, you can go facebook.com, NASA/Orion, or any of the other websites you see listed here. That's all I have for now. Are there any questions?
But Brother Rick,
Our next speaker presenter here is Brother Amari Gaskin Jr. He's a software engineer. He's developed game software, cell phone software developer, and website software developer. Brother Gaskin, you have the floor.
You would think that as a software engineer, I would be able to do a little better than this, but once here we go. Okay, so beginning. Hello everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Amari Gaskin Jr. I am one of the most recent members for a new chapter of UMA Hip-Hop Training Incorporated. I have a Bachelor's of Arts in Human and Computer Interaction from The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a software engineer right now at Chase. If anyone makes with Chase, I'm the guy who works on your app. So if you have any problems, go ahead and shoot those to me. I'm also an indie game developer. I've been developing games since I was in high school. I also do application software for iPhone and Android development, and I do my own websites, which I'm also working for that for a chapter. Just a little side note there. So what is human-computer interaction? Human-computer interaction is it's a lot of times with software, we've thought that all we have to do is just make something that works, right? As long as it works, people figure it out, and it is what it is. But human-computer interaction is something is a recent major that just got developed within the last 4 years that focuses on not just how can we develop a product, but how do we make it good for the people that use it. And that is what I do. I not only do I program and make everything, I also run tests. I do research and use that research to develop the applications that we want. For instance, one of the most recent things that I did in college when I was doing research was trying to figure out if the best way to make a website interface for people who live in Asia, so particularly the Chinese market and the Japanese market. If you know, a lot of times they'll, like when we read stuff, we read from the left to the right. That's how sentences are. Well, a lot of times they read from the right to the left, or they just read straight down. Like, now imagine your words were just straight down. So we had to develop a user interface. That's what we call everything that you look at. A user interface that could work for both people on the left side of the world, on the right side of the world. And we kind of got something. I can't show that because that research was stayed within the house at the university, but it was very efficient at helping people to be able to see something that they, if they were to see US websites, and it would convert to how they need it, or we can just, so the companies could save money by just making this one design. And in short, it kind of looked pretty good. But for with software development, there's basically 3 lines of development. You have front-end development, back-end development, and something called full stack. I have my little joke there. Why is front end the best? So front end is what I'm basically focusing on, is the human-computer interaction side. It's everything that you see. It's where you can combine the arts with engineering. Back end is it's a lot of data. You might have heard terms referred to as like people might have heard blockchain or Bitcoin, cryptocurrency stuff. Those people focus on the back end because they're using a lot of data to make sure those things work. And now full stack is when you kind of do a little bit of both. Full stack is what I'm trying to get into, but it's a little bit more complicated. Not only do you have to have the ability to use art and try to look at all the data that you receive, but you also have to really understand the back end and try to merge two together. And it's a lot of work, but I think it's a little fun. Now, this is I want to put this down. I don't know if the kids might get this, but I know anybody born before the internet age probably seen this. Craigslist. Craigslist is what I call a work in production, because it doesn't make sense. For some reason it works, right? But it doesn't look great. Now, design-wise, it is very easy to look at because you can clearly see everything for where it's at. However, it's just a lot of information. There's a principle that I can't remember that I learned in college for design. For if you have so much information, I don't know if you all have Netflix or any other streaming platform, you see that you have so many options that you don't know what to choose. That's this. Like,
let's take it longer. Okay. Then I got a couple more things I got to do to set you up for Wi-Fi. So bear with me.
Someone needs to mute themselves there. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
But so yeah, so this is the information overload. There's a lot going on, and you kind of have to like really search for what you're going to. Now, of course, the bowling does make it a little bit easier, but it's a lot of information. But now this is what I do. So you can see that there's been a lot of updates for how companies have made their software and just their logos. For instance, I first started using Instagram, never remembered this, but I do remember this little weird looking camera here. And now we have this. It's a little bit easier to look at. It's not as, that wasn't necessarily anything wrong with this, but it's just a little bit easier to look at. Now you see Apple also went from this weird looking Macintosh, thing to the rainbow apple to, like, they've pretty much been simplistic. But YouTube used to be this kind of like Craigslist, just a bunch of videos just dumped on something, and it was hard to look at with your phone. But now, as we see, YouTube has redesigned how they look, and everything is pretty easy to look at. There's about 4 icons there. You see the trending page. You have your regular library of everything you have, and then you have your profile. And then if you want to search a video, there it is. And then the beauty of this stuff is, especially with YouTube, is that you have something called algorithms. Now, a lot of times you'll hear in a math class, I always hear growing up, people be like, well, when would I ever use this? When would I ever use this in life? What does this have to do with what I'm about to do? Well, if you're in engineering, sometimes you're going to use that. For instance, if you're in geometry, you might be learning about different formulas, or if you're in algebra, you might be learning about something called linear or exponential growth. When you're in backend, you have to know what those are, because that is how we determine what people want to see. It's by charting their exponential growth and what more than likely people want to see. That's how algorithms usually work, by cutting off what you don't watch and then just adjusting your exponential growth to give you what you really want to see. That's why a lot of times my trending page on, let's say, even the Twitter or an Instagram or even YouTube, what I watch will be completely different what you may watch. It's because the algorithms in the back end are doing a lot of heavy-handed work to make sure that you see what you want to see. So I just want to go into a little bit what I do in my daily job, my daily routine. Well, I've been working out with my fiance, so that's kind of sucked in the mornings. But other than that, if I could, I would usually wake up 7 a.m. I read a little bit of the engineering news that comes into me, because I always want to stay up to date with the most recent software so that I can keep on my toes. And then I head into work, and throughout the day, I get what we call tickets. So basically just little jobs that you are assigned to. We give priority points for what's important, and then I just work on what I think needs to be worked on, what I can do in the day, or I just schedule out on my own kind of, and make my own schedule for how I want to take on the different assignments I have. Also a bunch of meetings. Didn't think that as an engineer I would have to be in meetings, but depending on how you want your career to go, you're just gonna have to bite the bullet and deal with a bunch of meetings. That is so the bureaucracy of a large corporation. But with game development, so I do that on my own. Like I said, I'm an indie developer. I don't know if anybody here plays video games. I know I do. And I have been developing them since I was in high school, when I first learned about software development. And I use something called JavaScript as a programming language to make those video games. I also have to, another thing, going back to when would I ever use this in real life? I have to, physics in video games is actually very important. For instance, when you're playing a video game and you're jumping and then you fall back on the ground, physics is important in that, because it tells you, okay, so it tells the game engine that you're developing, this person shouldn't go to the ground, because that's not how the world works, right? That's not real physics. So a lot of stuff that you learn in class will, if you go into engineering, it's going to matter. But so I've just been doing the game development on my own, kind of making a little horror game, just in my spare time. Hopefully that makes me some money so I can not work at Chase no more. But as you know, but like I said, I started doing research when I was younger. I was doing robotics ever since I was in 2nd grade. just little stuff like Lego Mindstorms. I don't know if you all heard of that. Little robotics competitions of just picking up blocks, moving them to this place. That gives you a little bit of your mechanical engineering there. Or as I got a little bit more into high school, doing something called BattleBots. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but BattleBots is when you make robots that actually fight each other. And I was competing against college teams in high school. It was pretty wild. It was actually a show on TV at one point where they were showing the college students going against each other. And I come from a little in Dayton, wasn't that much fun going into the the BattleBot scene, but we had our little bot, and it was going against some robots with like flamethrowers, chainsaws, and you actually be surprised the best robot had a spatula. It would just flip other robots, and that was it. But yeah, and that's how I fell in love with engineering, and especially with software development, just because in a sense the world is endless. And I took the route of going to a company, but a lot of people always talk about entrepreneurships. Engineering is one of the best ways to really establish yourself, to be able to take care of yourself if you wanted to. For instance, there's such thing called freelance development, which a lot of I know my colleagues from fellow students in college, they went into doing, not even working for a company. They did their own entrepreneurship and just developed code for companies that just want to send out contracts. They do that, and that's it. And they just go to the next thing they want to do. So I definitely think that if you want to be if you want to go into entrepreneurship, or you just want to do like my route, just go into a company, so the other men in the call, engineering is the way to do it. And it's just some more inside jokes myself, but Google is your friend. A lot of times people want to say, well, the smart people are the ones that become engineers and stuff like that. No, it's about dedication and just a genuine interest to want to learn, right? I wasn't this great dude who understood everything perfectly all this times. I failed calculus in college twice. It's just hard, but I knew what I like to do, and I wanted to do it, and I didn't stop. And I just kept going with perseverance and just kept going to get to my goals that I wanted to do. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. And Stack Overflow is your friend, especially in programming. But this quote that my mom always told me, like my mom would tell me this every day before we go to school. First she would say, be a leader, not a follower. That was the first thing. And then she would say, you can do anything you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. And that's why I want to tell everybody here. You can do anything that you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. Your mind is your greatest asset and your best tool. Knowledge is power. And if you want to be an engineer, don't let anybody tell you that they can't, right? So when I first went to college, people were telling me, well, you're 3 years behind in your math. Like you can't be an engineer and stuff like that. But jokes on them, right? And how can I get involved? Just study, do your research, and just really have a genuine interest in engineering, and you can be an engineer. So that's all. Go ahead,
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, let me introduce Mr. Ryan Davis to you. He's a construction superintendent for, I guess it's Whiting Turner Construction Company. General manager, he's a general manager of commercial construction projects. He's a director of and controls systems for construction projects. He manages, schedules, and budgets the construction projects. He coordinates construction activities with trade workers. Brother Davis, it's your floor. Oh, I need to start your slides, I think, here.
Yes, sir.
Let me do that. I need to share. Hang on, I don't see the share here. Brother Gaskins, where's the share for this for me?
Oh, for you or for Brother David?
Yes, you start his slides.
Should be at the bottom of the screen in green. Say share screen.
That was on me. I thought it made him a co-host. My bad, Brother Davis. Are you able to share now?
Yes, I am. Let me get it started here for him. All right, Brother Davis, go ahead.
Slides aren't up.
Oh boy, they're up on my screen here. I guess I don't see the share. Hang on. All right, there we go.
Well, Riggins, once you click share screen, you also have to say start share.
Got it.
Okay, there you go. We see them now.
Okay,
cool.
I'm started.
All right, so yeah, my name is Ryan Davis. As Brother Regan said, I am the superintendent for Whiting Turner. We are construction managers. I went to The Ohio State University and obtained my bachelor's in civil engineering, graduated in 2013, and been working with the company ever since then. So that's just a little bit of background about me. If you can go on to the next slide. As I am wrapping up the presentation here, we kind of talked about some of the things that are interesting within the STEM field, things that were kind of fun, things that, you know, requires a lot of information and things that you got to learn about. So to wrap it up, you know, the main reason why we're doing this is at some point in time, you guys are going to be going to get a career of your own so you can take care of your families and take care of yourselves. So what I'm going to talk about is the salaries that people can get through the STEM, as well as ways to start in the STEM career. So here, I just have a slide here. This is from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, showing the average amount of money per year that a person can make based on their occupation. So those that are, you know, people that are just in non-STEM occupations, whether that could be anything from, you know, working as working in a store somewhere, all the way to being a lawyer or something like that. Those are non-STEM occupations. The average for that per year is about $40,000 a year. Where in the STEM occupations, though, they're closer towards 90,000. So there's more than double the amount in which people that work in the STEM field can possibly make for their life, which obviously makes it better for them as well, as far as taking care of their families. So if you go on to the next slide, I go to in a little bit more detail about that. So here I took out a couple of different fields in STEM. Some of them we've already talked about as well, just to kind of show what the entry level salaries would be for these occupations. You know, so for engineer, a basic engineer, starting salary may be about $69,000. Software developer around $62,000. So these are all different based on where a person may live within the country. You know, the company that they're actually working for, they may provide different starting salaries as well. But this is just a general average of what those starting occupations salaries would be. Now, so that would be the bottom bar. That would be that pinkish color at the bottom. The purplish color at the top, that represents what a person would be making after they've worked for the company for about 10 years, if that company is providing a 5% annual raise, which is pretty typical as far as companies providing 3 to 5% raises annually. So bottom line here is to show that, you know, when you first get into your career, it's better to start off as high as possible, because as you are growing through your career and as the years pass, the amount of money that you're bringing in will grow exponentially, because of your starting amount was higher than, say, you know, for an engineer, it's much higher than for someone that's working in customer service. All right, moving on to the next slide. Why the difference in salaries? Well, there's a lot of things. So number one would be the demand for the job. So if you I don't know if you guys know about the supply and demand concept, but right now there's a rapid growth in technology, which is also requiring a growth in the STEM occupation as well. So right now there is a high demand for people that are in STEM. However, to get into the STEM, it does require a lot of education, a lot of information that you need to get to be able to get in those fields. So the supply of people who are able to work in the STEM occupation is relatively lower. So therefore, with a high demand and a low supply, then that would drive the salaries for people in the STEM occupation up higher. Next thing would be the level of responsibility and liability. So because of the occupation can be so technical, it can come with a lot of responsibilities. So me being a construction manager, I am responsible for all of the contractors on the job site. I'm responsible for millions of dollars of projects. Well, the projects that I work on are worth multi-million dollars. So I am responsible for all of that. I'm responsible for the safety of all the contractors on the job site. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with those people in STEM fields. So that's another reason why salaries would be generally higher. Difficulty of occupation as well. So being responsible can be heavily on STEM occupations. So just like Brother Willis and with the NASA, obviously there's a lot of dangers that can be presented when people are working out in space. So again, because of the level of difficulty and challenges from the occupation would also raise in salaries. And then finally, the fourth thing would be personal capabilities. So you want to make sure that as you're trying to start your career, you start off with a good base of knowledge of what it is you're trying to do, and that will actually help you propel you further ahead than some of what your peers may, as they're trying to enter in the same career. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, paths into the STEM occupation. So there's different ways that you can get into STEM. So the number one would be college or university. So this is the most widely known way to get into a STEM field. All of us here, the presenters, we've gone through a college or university to get our degrees to be able to start in a STEM occupation. So these are typically an accredited 4-year university. They also provide a wide range of just general education. Even if, when you go to college, it's not going to be strictly on, at least some of the classes you're going to take, it's not going to be strictly just for what your degree is going for. They're going to try to give you a broad spectrum of things so that you can have a better understanding of life just in general. And then the other thing is that it provides great life experiences, being able to get out the house for the first time, being on your own, really starting to learn the adult life. Now, the other thing though is that it's also the most expensive based on the other ways to get into the STEM field because of the college tuition. The next one is going to be technical college. So technical colleges tend to offer more hands-on learning and require fewer unnecessary classes than 4-year colleges. And these programs are typically taught by instructors who are industry professionals with years of experience working in the field they're teaching. So there's different schools that people can go to. I know Bryan and Stratton is one. There are some other smaller technical colleges that are, like if you go to that college there, it is going to be, the things that they teach you are strictly for your career that you're pursuing. They usually do not require general education programs or anything like that. So the best, I would say, a positive about that is, with less time spent at college, students are able to enter into the workforce a little bit earlier. So that as another plus. And then finally would be trade schools or an apprenticeship. So many industries require industry certifications, and trade schools prepare students with that kind of information, with the necessary skills and tools to be able to do that. So even working in construction, a lot of the tradesmen, they come up through an apprenticeship. So it's basically on the job learning that you can get join into this apprenticeship, and you're going to be training up under a journeyman. So a journeyman in the trades is someone who's been who has experience working a specific trade, and they're well versed in it. So an apprentice would work under them for a couple of years so that they can learn the trade themselves. Now the good thing though is, as you're getting taught, you're also getting paid. So you're getting paid on the job and you're learning on the job. And this can also be done right out of high school. And there's also some programs that allow some high school students to start an apprenticeship early on. That way they have a good jump with their occupation for their life. And finally, wrapping up, what can you do now? So a couple of things that, maybe not as of this moment, but as you guys get a little bit older and you're getting ready to graduate high school and go into college, and first couple of years of college, internship and co-op is very, very important. So I began my career as an intern for my company. I interned with them for 6 summers as I was going through college, and it helped me learn and understand some of the aspects that I was going to be entering into. And again, most internships you can get paid for while you're doing it, and then some colleges also provide credit for as a class if you're going through these internships. The next one is apprenticeships. I already kind of talked about that, but like I said, some labor unions do have high school programs to engage students in the trades earlier on. Job shadowing, that's something you guys can do now. If you know someone who's working in a STEM occupation and you are interested in what they are doing, ask them to do a job shadowing. What that is they'll take you to their job for a day or so, and they will kind of show you the things that they do on a daily basis, show you what they may feel is interesting within that career, and it'll help you see exactly what's going on. You can actually go to a factory or go to somewhere where they're designing programs and actually see them working and get a better understanding of exactly what they're doing. And then the last thing would be groups and clubs. That's something you guys can get into now. So these are good to begin building networks for other people that's like-minded with you. They also provide a lot of information as far as maybe some scholarships that you guys are trying to get into college, or maybe it's programs. There's a lot of STEM programs and groups out there right now that you guys can join to help bring along with your, whatever you're desiring. And then the other, I forgot I skipped this one. The last one will be personal skill development. Again, it's very, very important for you to start working on your personal skill development. Start getting hands-on with things that you're interested in, and start getting if you get a good grasp and understanding of the things you're trying to work on. So that is it. If you guys have any questions.
Pause the recording here. Just want to once again remind everyone who was awarded a card to make sure that the parents get the name and address entered into the chat room for Brother Gaskin, so we can get that card out to you. Want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope it was of value to you. What we tried to show you was that the world is really open to you. You get the right education, you can do just what you want to do, how you want to do it, and have fun at doing it at the same time. Remember that first graph that I put up where I had two slides of all these Black inventors and Black professionals? I hope to one day see your picture up there. So that's about all I have. I do have I want to throw up to you if I can. I have a little video. This is a Morehouse College video that, if I can find it. Oh boy, I'm having problems finding this one. This is a little video that some students at Morehouse, I know, okay, that they have a program there called, they call their SMASH, I think it is. Anyway, there are STEM students there, and I like to, if I can, share that with you for a minute.
And also, Bradley, could your parents possibly send me your address so we can get you your gift card?
Sure.
All right, I'm having problems bringing this one up, guys. We may have to forego the video.
I am a leader. I am educated. I am powerful. I don't think there's one type of young man you would find this way, simply because we're so different. When I first came here, I didn't really want to be here. At first, I thought it was just like different summer school sort of. After the first week, it was just a whole thing. It really felt like family. My first 2 years, I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like I was the right fit for the program because I just felt like where I come from, I shouldn't be here. Sometimes we call each other scholars, classmates, brothers. I am a marine biologist. I'm a mechanical engineer. I am a scholar. You can so closely identify with being a scientist, biochemist, which will start to define your own limitations. And that's what I want to do, scholars. Define your own limitations.
Okay, I hope everyone was able to see that. Just to give you a little flavor for some real college students and what they're doing for their STEM programs. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and hopefully we'll do this again next year. We get some more of your friends on the watch. And that concludes today's presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. I got you. Thank you, Bradley. I got you. Thank you. Okay.
Do I get the gift card now?
Yeah, we're gonna send it to you. We got you.
We'll get it in the mail to you, young man.
Yeah, Brother Reagan, I just want to talk to you just a quick second. So we got all of the I got all the addresses. And Brother Caffey should now have the video updated to the chapter Zoom. Let me go ahead and stop it.
Yeah.